Good evening all and welcome. I will call to order Wilsonville City Council meeting for March 2, 2020 at 7:08 p.m. Sorry for the little bit of late start. We can't seem to get ahead of all the work we're doing. Request a roll call, please.
Councillor Linville. Here. Councillor West.
Here.
Council President Ackerval.
Here.
Councillor Lehan.
Here.
Mayor Knapp.
Here. Would the audience please rise and join us in a Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, please the council, I would be open to a motion on order of agenda.
Your Honor, I move to approve the order of agenda.
Thank you. Is there a second? Second. Moved and second, we approve order of agenda. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. There are copies available at the side of the room if you really want to have one. But we're going to start out with my State of the City address for the year. Also kind of a look back at the last 10 years since it seems like kind of a marker point in the history that I've been here and that Wilsonville has done. So I don't know if we have chairs enough for council or if you folks want to stay at the dais.
We have chairs. We have chairs.
You got councilor chairs? Okay. We've got a lot of people standing in the back, but that's fine. So let's position ourselves and we'll go forward on that.
We can stay.
You could stay here if other people want to use the chairs, because I'm not going to have my back to you. I'll be over to the side.
There's citizens back there.
We'll stay.
So if there's...
Swing over to here. Yeah, let's do that. We'll move our chairs down here.
Oh, you're going to move your chairs over. Okay, well, there's an idea too.
Available for our guests.
All right.
Yeah.
We're going to move chairs. Okay.
I don't know why. There's enough chairs.
We don't need yours.
I roll in the chair.
Scoot down like musical chairs.
Yes, moving. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Wilsonville. Thank you for coming, and I hope that you enjoy some of the presentation. There is a lot of things that we want. There are a lot of things we want to talk about if we're kind of looking back at the last decade. So let's proceed. I am Tim Knapp, and I have the pleasure of serving as the mayor of Wilsonville for these past 11 years. We also want to acknowledge and thank our city council members who each bring their own perspective, and those perspectives enable us to reach better outcomes by having a diverse set of backgrounds. So Councilor Kristen Ackerval, would you stand or wave or something so people see you? Kristen is our city council president. Councilor Charlotte Lehan, who is a former Clackamas County Commissioner and Chair and former Mayor of Wilsonville. Councilor Ben West disappeared. There he is over there. And our newest councilor, Joanne Linville. So we thank all of them for their work. I'd also like to recognize a few other elected officials. The Mayor of Hillsborough is here, Mr. Steve Calloway. Thank you for coming. County Commissioner Ken Humberston from Clackamas County is here. Thank you. State Representative Courtney Neron is here. Courtney, thank you for coming. And Tigard Councilor John Goodhouse has joined us. Thank you, John, for coming. Are there any other electeds that I'm not seeing? And did we catch everybody? Okay, well, let's go ahead. 12 years ago, I stood at this very podium and took my oath as mayor. The Great Recession had recently started. Jobs were being lost. Wilsonville industrial buildings were 45% vacant. Our future was in question. Your council and city staff focused on building on our unique assets. We recommitted to growing our neighborhoods, our job base, and our commercial sector to become a complete community. Carefully considered but bold decisions were made to advance next steps in major infrastructure projects to keep our city moving. Such require consistent, clear policies over long periods of time to accomplish. Let's consider a few of the major projects that have provided means to advance a successful, thriving community. One of the major things that we do is concerned with water infrastructure. This is a primary vehicle that we have to have for our community to work. So first of all, on the domestic or freshwater supply question. In 1998, the council proposed to use the Willamette River as the source for our domestic water. And in 1999, a voter advisory measure approved of that. Partnering with the Tualatin Valley Water District, we opened a plant in 2002, which was built here in Wilsonville on the river at a cost of some $50 million. It can produce 15 million gallons a day and utilizes top-of-the-line technologies in redundant steps, including ozonation for purification. In 2008, Coca-Cola executives declared Wilsonville water is some of the best in the U.S. and announced plans to expand operations here. In 2010, Coca-Cola opened a $35 million, 160,000 square foot expansion. They consolidated Western Oregon and Washington jobs into Wilsonville and went from 60 employees here to some 400, now almost 500 employees in Wilsonville. In 2011, the city and Tualatin Valley Water District agreed to sell 5 million gallons a day of TVWD's water rights to the city of Sherwood, and a 3.6 mile long, $11.7 million pipeline 4 feet in diameter was built in 2012 through 2014. Also in 2014, Wilsonville, Tualatin Valley Water District, the city of Hillsborough, met together to form the Willamette Water Supply Program. This group proposed a $1 billion, 26-mile-long, 5.5-foot diameter pipeline that would carry 45 million gallons a day to supply Western Washington County. After extensive research, debate, and negotiation by staff and elected officials, an agreement was reached. There would be a 99-year-long ground lease for the Willamette Water Supply Program to accommodate the intake at the river and the pipeline. $30 million in compensation would be paid to Wilsonville for the use, repair, and restoration of city property, staff time, and inconvenience to the public, including $17 million in ground lease payments over 10 years, $7 million in roadway and sidewalk improvements, $3 million in seismic upgrades and additional capacity modifications at the Willamette River Treatment Plant, new park amenities, including a river overlook and walking paths at the Water Treatment Plant Park, and finally, Wilsonville was agreed to be the controlling operator of the Wilsonville Joint Plant in perpetuity. Now, in 2020, construction on the pipeline and improvements has been undertaken and are underway. Not too many years after that, we had to start thinking about our wastewater system. In 2011, we were still working with a 1970s treatment plant that was plagued with capacity and odor issues. In 2011, staff, consultants, and council studied the best way to remedy it. Initial estimates to build a new facility were high, something in the $80 million range, just to build it, not operate it. In 2012, council was finally able to award a contract to design, build, and operate a new plant. This was innovative. It was the first wastewater plant design, build, operate contract in the state of Oregon. The contract called for $44 million to design and build the plant and about $2 million a year to operate it for 15 years. The capacity increase was from 2.4 million gallons a day to 4 million gallons a day, and there is available protocol to do a further upgrade to 7 million gallons a day when we need to. The plant produces dry Class A biosolids, which means they are less than 10% moisture. They can be spread on fields. And we finally have reliable odor control and less expensive disposal of those biosolids. Wilsonville has a reliable wastewater capacity, which enables both residential and business growth. Speaking of residential growth, we've had quite a bit of that. Our biggest project over the last decade has been the Villebois project on the hill overlooking the city. In the 2000s, years of planning were spent to figure out how to do the conversion of the former Damish State Hospital grounds into other uses. Damish was originally proposed by the state in 1998 to be the site of the Coffee Creek Correctional Institution. Your elected officials, led by then Mayor Charlotte Lehan, worked tirelessly to oppose the state and the governor through much controversy. Villebois only became possible when the city offered the current prison site as an alternative in Wilsonville. Finally, the Villebois concept plan was hammered out and adopted. That plan looked forward to 2,500 total residential units composed of single-family homes, duplexes, and multifamily communities. Construction started on the first homes in 2005. By 2013, it was about 40% built, even though we had been dealing with the problems of the Great Recession. Construction was started on the central Piazza commercial area at about that time. We expect completion of construction in Villebois over the next couple of years. Today, Villebois is a high-quality neighborhood full of parks and wonderful green spaces, much loved by its residents and families. Our upcoming next big project is the Frog Pond area. In 2002, the Frog Pond West land was brought into the UGB, about 180 acres. In 2011, the city applied to include Frog Pond East and South in the UGB and did not succeed. We applied again in 2014 and did not make it. We applied again in 2018, and finally, Metro approved addition of this area to the urban growth boundary that year. Backstepping a little bit, in 2015, city staff and electeds collaborated with our school district to convince Metro to allow the Meridian Creek school site into the UGB on a special exception process. Also in that year, the Frog Pond West master plan was adopted and school construction was started. School construction is a $40 million project. That school opened in 2017 and is now a robust part of our community and very strongly moving forward. We were pleased to host the Northwest Natural Street of Dreams showcase in our Frog Pond West neighborhood in 2019. They had about 6 homes built at that point, and many, many visitors came to visit. Construction continues. There's now something, and I didn't double check this, but I think we have about 15 or 20 homes completed in that area. The master plan provides that Frog Pond West can host somewhere between 450 and 570 total homes in the West neighborhood. Going forward, the city will be engaging the public on designing a vision and master plan for Frog Pond East and South. We intend it to become another unique, desirable, and loved Wilsonville neighborhood. There are a variety of other residential developments that have occurred. Some of those are listed on the screen here. These are residential developments over the past 10 years and are just a little bit of the indication of the infill that has been going on. Along with housing, our citizens need parks and recreational opportunities. Don't give up on my voice now, I've practiced this too many times. In 2018, the city adopted a new and updated Parks and Recreation Master Plan, which included specific plans for Memorial Park and Boones Ferry Park. The theme of increased access to the Willamette River applies in both those locations. In 2017, the council had purchased a suddenly available 5-acre riverfront parcel to be joined and become part of Boones Ferry Park. Proposed in the plans are new sports fields for Memorial Park and Frog Pond Community Park near Meridian Creek Middle School. The plans include more outdoor recreation options, such as an improved dog park, now underway, with new amenities including restrooms and a dog wash. Better access to and expansion of our community gardens complex, a new disc golf course, new mountain bike course, more sports fields in multiple locations. All nice amenities that the community will use in an energetic way, I'm sure. We introduced new health and exercise as well as recreational programming in the past year for both youth and seniors. And we recognize recreation continues to be a major contributor to our concepts of healthy living for people at all stages of their lives in our city. Incidentally, we now have the Parks and Rec Task Force looking at projects for a potential ballot measure in November 2020 to bond for park improvements. We would ask citizens whether they wish to back a small tax to enable moving forward on our Parks Master Plan more quickly. Another major component of the infrastructure that we supply to the public is our public transportation. Motivation for Wilsonville is to provide better quality local transit service. Transit removes single occupant vehicles from the freeway, reduces pollution of greenhouse gases, reduces vehicle miles traveled, provides free local transit service for everyone in the area equitably. What started out as WART, Wilsonville Area Rapid Transit, with one route and 2 buses 31 years ago, is now SMART, a highly professional operation with a fleet of 36 buses, running 6 regular fixed routes and 2 out-of-town express routes, 1 to the Portland TriMet connection and 1 to Salem. SMART solves the last mile connection problem for transit commuters coming on west. We promised to take everyone within 10 minutes from their arrival at West Commuter Station to their employer's workplace door in Wilsonville. Many of our employers just love SMART. Over time, your council has also taken action on energy use and emissions. The city participates in the United States Environmental Protection Agency Green Power Communities program. We also participate in PGE's Clean Wind and in the new Green Tariff solar energy facility being built in Eastern Oregon. We host a new PGE Electric Avenue charging station at our own library. The council is supporting SMART in moving our bus fleet away from diesel fuel to alternative fuels, including hybrid electric and diesel buses, compressed natural gas buses, and more recently now, EV full electric buses. SMART has won a series of very competitive state and federal grants to enable modernization and conversion. The Federal Transit Administration and ODOT grants, seen here, have helped us move forward with some $4 million in grants to enable the purchase of better vehicles. In 2017, our SMART system was one of only 51 public transit agencies nationwide. From 200 applicants, we were the only one in Oregon to successfully compete for a $1.45 million grant award under the federal low and no emissions program. Our own SMART staff has devised innovative methods for on-site CNG and electric power fueling infrastructure. SMART was recognized last October by the Oregon Transit Association with the Public Transportation System Innovation Award. SMART's Transit Master Plan was amended by the council 2 years ago, 2018, after Oregon House Bill 2017 provided a new statewide revenue source to support public transit. SMART will expand with new services, new routes, and frequency, more all-day service to Tualatin and midday trips to Salem, extended hours for crosstown service into the late night and weekend within town. So the piece of public infrastructure many people want to ask about is, what about traffic? Transportation infrastructure is critical. Connectivity and mobility. The city is methodically constructing the missing street grid network needed by our growing community. We have taken step-by-step progress like this. In 2008, Beckman Street Bridge across Coffee Lake was opened. It's a 425-foot pile-supported bridge with about 400 feet of approaches on each end and wildlife passages underneath the approaches. In 2012 and 13, the city had to reconstruct the approaches, which were settling unexpectedly into the soft ground, I guess. A nearly $1 million settlement from the contractor mostly covered the reconstruction costs. In 2013, we built Canyon Creek Road extension from Beckman south to Town Center Loop. It has become a north-south arterial which leads directly to our post office. In 2014 and 15, we built the Barber Street Extension and Bridge Project, which connects Villebois area with Smart and West at the Wilsonville Transit Center. It opens an east-west route option for many uses and provides easy access to transit services. That project was $6.4 million. $3.8 million in federal funds earmarked 9 years earlier in 2005 were applied to the project, and $2.6 million local dollars coming from our urban renewal system and our systems development charges. We've continued. In 2017 and 18, we've made many strategic spot improvements at and near the I-5 Wilsonville Road interchange to improve mobility. First of all, we improved the Boones Ferry South left turn onto Wilsonville Road. We added a third stacking lane on the I-5 southbound freeway ramp. We made alterations to the Fred Meyer driveway for flow improvements in that area. And we added a no turn on red protocol during rush hour on Boones Ferry north to Wilsonville Road. In 2018, we also did the Kinsman Road extension improvements, which are from Beckman Road to Barber Street on a north-south basis, lying to the west side of the community. That is the first area where we also added pipe for the big water project along that road as it was built. The combined road, sewer, water pipeline project was $13.7 million. $7.6 million of that, or 56%, was paid by sources other than the city. There are multiple upcoming major projects yet to be done, which we are working on. First of all, the Old Town Escape Project, which will connect 5th Street in Old Town to the Kinsman Road piece south of Wilsonville Road. We're building Garden Acres Road to open up the Coffee Creek Industrial Area in northwest Wilsonville. We're planning on how to do a bridge for the difficult Beckman Dip near the Frog Pond Future School site. We are contemplating an I-5 pedestrian bridge to connect Smart and West Central across the I-5 to a much enhanced town center area, visioned to be activity and residential, as well as many commercial uses that have yet to be built. We also are planning for the French Prairie Bike Pedestrian Emergency Bridge as part of the same connectivity strategy. It would bring these benefits to our community if we can proceed and make that happen. Wilsonville works actively with Metro, ODOT, and state and federal legislators to seek solutions for improving I-5 traffic congestion also, even though I-5 is not our responsibility. In 2017 and 18, we participated with ODOT to do the southbound I-5 congestion study. Out of that came a proposed I-5 Wilsonville facility plan, which would add an auxiliary lane from Wilsonville Road southward past Charbonneau to the Canby-Hubbard 551 highway. Wilsonville State Representative here tonight, Courtney Neron, helped to secure a budget note in our 2019 legislative session, directing ODOT to undertake a cost-to-complete study for this project. The study looks at that auxiliary lane and also at seismic retrofitting of the Boone Bridge itself on I-5. The big question to be answered is, will the entire Boone Bridge span have to be replaced in order to achieve seismic stability? The uncertainty has caused ODOT to carry a wide range of estimates, somewhere from $80 million to perhaps $400 million, as yet undetermined. ODOT's cost-to-complete study is now underway and due back to the legislature in February of 2021. It's likely we will need all of your help to lobby the legislature, Metro, and Congress to fund these needed improvements on I-5 and the Boone Bridge. Funding for major highway projects is very competitive. Currently, there's many projects proposed, including these listed above. All are significant, would add big benefits for the people that use those areas, and all are very, very expensive. We also work on employment infrastructure, trying to set the stage for good jobs. Wilsonville focus is on providing the infrastructure that cultivates high-wage jobs that can support a family. half of Wilsonville jobs are in the high-wage sectors such as manufacturing, engineering, computer programming, and even wholesale distribution. In 2010, there were 15,000 jobs in Wilsonville with an annual payroll of some $800 million collectively. In 2019, we had grown to 21,900 full-time jobs and have seen an annual payroll that has reached $1.4 billion within Wilsonville. In 10 years, we added 5,900 jobs and increased local payroll $600 million, a 39% increase in jobs and a 75% increase in payroll dollars paid. Fairly remarkable for a community of 25,000 people. In 2012, Council adopted its first formal economic development strategy. We'd never had one. In 2016, we hired our first economic development manager, Mr. Jordan Vance, who still works with us and is doing great work reaching out to all the different elements that make decisions on where economic development happens. The city is working on several new opportunities where we might attract high-wage jobs. First of all, the Coffee Creek employment area, some 200 acres, which Metro designated as regionally significant industrial area, RSIA, when it was brought into the urban growth boundary. Study on this area projects that we might host 1,800 jobs there, which might add $98 million to our annual payroll. Following a positive public vote in 2015, the council created an urban renewal area in this Coffee Creek in 2016. We hope to attract new businesses that will help to pay for needed pipes, roads, water, sewer, those sort of improvements. We're working on major infrastructure improvements such as the Garden Acres Road project, which is intended to stage it for private sector investment as an employment area. We expect to attract high-quality companies that offer desirable, well-paid employment that pay the taxes that support the kinds of city services and amenities our citizens expect. Beyond Coffee Creek, both in distance and time probably, is the Basalt Creek employment area just to the north of Coffee Creek. Basalt was brought into the UGB by Metro in 2004 and designated as employment land. From the period of 2011 through 2018, Wilsonville and Tualatin worked in conjunction to complete a concept plan for how to jointly utilize this area. That plan was adopted in 2018. The plan shows about 131 buildable acres coming to Wilsonville jurisdiction eventually, all of it planned to be employment area. We see a potential for some 2,500 jobs in this area, though this will likely not develop till after Coffee Creek is somewhat built out. From the private sector, as well as our school district, we have also seen significant business growth and development. So the slide lists some of our major projects that have occurred over the last decade in this area. Certainly not an exhaustive list, but represents some of the very significant private sector investment that has come to our community. So what are our metrics for success? Well, we have to look at a variety of different things. As with Wilsonville's impressive job count and wages earned by our workers, other metrics demonstrate that success. In 2010, the real market value of Wilsonville real estate was about $3.6 billion. By 2019, the real market value of Wilsonville real estate was some $5.6 billion, about a $2 billion increase within the decade. Something like 58%. That's a pretty good metric to measure success by in my book. We also have looked at the grants the city has received over the past decade. Those grants total something like $16 million, and I think we've got a slide somewhere. Missing? Okay, well, we have a slide. If you look at all those years, we have over $16 million in grant year by year. And that is something that is very remarkable considering that prior to 10 years ago, we got very few grants brought to the city. Transit-related capital improvements and operations have won the lion's share of such grants, primarily federal funds channeled via ODOT or Metro, totaling something like $12 million in various ways for transit-related capital improvements. Our city staff has learned to work very diligently to win grants, work even harder to deliver projects on time and under budget, and I have to say they have demonstrated great success. So what is our conclusion about our city? Can we be a community that really works for all ages and people at all stages of their lives? Metro projections are that another 500,000 people will call the region home by 2040, another 500,000 people. Where are they going to be? Council will continue to set long-term direction for Wilsonville in the most positive way we can. We plan to be a complete community, well-designed for physical and social connections with access to the natural realm throughout our area. We intend for environmental stewardship to be valued and incorporated in everything that we do. We plan to use thoughtful land use planning, maintaining a quality community, strong, high-quality, amenity-rich, interconnected neighborhoods, commercial centers, and employment areas. We look for responsible economic development for economic stability, good jobs, diverse sectors, a variety of skills and skill levels. We need goods and services to be available locally so that we don't have to travel to find them. We need good choices for living, working, and playing at all stages of our lives. We plan for healthy, active living. We want attractive public spaces and recreation opportunities where people want to be. We intend to be an inclusive, welcoming community where we can demonstrate our commitment to all persons through all of our policies and actions. We encourage diverse housing types and price levels that meet the needs of all in Wilsonville and of people, again, throughout the different stages of their lives. We have to develop transportation systems and connections to enable multiple options on how we can move through our city, our region, and beyond. And we will continue to build an employment environment that attracts quality family wage jobs both now and into the future, as unknown as what that future looks like 20 or 30 years hence. Your city government works well. We have a high level of community engagement. Numerous volunteers are key to making our city work, and we thank each and every one of you. Our volunteers provide thousands of hours of service each year on city boards and commissions, work at the library, the community center, and many other venues. We have a very professional, capable city staff with a service orientation. Our city regularly meets the highest standards for government budgeting with conservative projections and tight fiscal controls. For 22 consecutive years, the Government Finance Officers Association has recognized the City of Wilsonville Finance Department with their Distinguished Budget Presentation Award. In 2018, Standard & Poor's Global Ratings recognized our ongoing efforts in the city by increasing the city's financial rating from AA+ to AAA. Those are pretty good metrics in my book. We have taken surveys, public surveys of our community every 2 years for the past 6 years. These are scientifically valid and conducted by the National Research Center. Those results show that of some 500 communities that they survey across the U.S., Wilsonville residents rate the overall quality of life and quality of city services as some of the best in the country. Of those 500 communities surveyed, Wilsonville has consistently ranked in the top 10 nationally for citizen satisfaction. Not the top 10%. Wilsonville is rated in the top 10 communities nationally that are surveyed of that group for citizen satisfaction. To produce this level of satisfaction requires long-term, committed community leadership on a steady, responsible path. It requires that we participate not just locally, but also regionally and across the state, and your elected leaders work to do that. So I think I should tell you a little bit about how I engage that regional connection and across the state in the work that I do. Over time, I've had the pleasure to serve not only as the representative for the city of Wilsonville, but also have been elected to serve as the representative of many nearby cities to various regional leadership boards. I am certain it is how to best represent the residents and businesses of this community. Service on these regional public and private organizations increases widespread awareness of Wilsonville issues. It positions Wilsonville and smart transit to positively influence policy development and to take competitive advantage of potential funding opportunities. Since 2008, I have served as the city's primary representative to both the Clackamas County Coordinating Committee and the Washington County Coordinating Committee. These committees seek to advance land use planning, infrastructure, and transportation projects in a coordinated fashion. And we have the pleasure of being in 2 counties, so we get to do both counties, not just one. I was elected in 2008 by the smaller cities of Clackamas County to represent small communities' interests in regional land use planning. First to Metro's limited duration urban-rural reserves steering committee, and subsequently to the MPAC, the Metro Policy Advisory Committee on land use. Later, I was elected in 2011 by the metro area cities of Clackamas County to represent all of those communities' joint interests in regional transportation planning and project funding as a member of Metro's JPACT committee, the Joint Policy Advisory Committee on Transportation. In 2012, seeing the need for a greater unified voice for Portland metro area cities to the metro regional government and to state government, I helped to form the Metropolitan Mayors Consortium along with Mayor Lou Ogden and several other of the area mayors. That organization is robust today and doing good work. In 2016, I was elected by the smaller cities in the Greater Portland region to serve as the Small Cities Consortium representative to the Regional Economic Development Organization called Greater Portland, Inc. In 2018, the Clackamas County Business Alliance asked that I serve on the CCBA Board of Directors to represent Clackamas City's interests. And in 2019, I was appointed by Metro Council President Lynn Peterson to serve as one of 3 Clackamas County government representatives to the Metro Transportation 2020 Funding Measure Task Force. Lots and lots of regional connection to look out for Wilsonville's interests. That is hugely critical to our future. So we jointly have made very significant progress for our community. That progress owes a great deal to the skill, dedication, detailed knowledge, and capabilities of many people. But it did not just happen. It was not routine. It was not by chance. To succeed into the future, we must continue the consistent principled work that we have committed to thus far. We must work within our community, and we must work effectively with the broader region, state, federal agencies and governments to make that happen. The experience, deep perspective, and dedication of your elected officials will continue to be a significant factor. So here we are again at the start of a new decade. What is our ongoing goal? The ongoing goal and the overarching challenge, as I see it, is to create a safe, desirable, aesthetically pleasing community which nurtures, sustains, and connects us all. We need all Wilsonville citizens to join in this work if our combined efforts are to yield the future that we envision. Will you join me? I hope so. Thank you. I think we're going to take a little break if people would like to stretch. I've been keeping you seated there for a little while, so let's socialize for a couple of minutes here before we go on to our formal meeting. Thank you so much all for coming. Head on out if you're going to head on out, which is fine, and we will do our formal meeting here.
Totally like that.
Yes, you did. Start it.
I don't know where on the agenda you want to do that.
Archer.
Why do I get this chair all the time? I fucking hate this.
Presentations.
Well, thank you. We will call back to order here at 8:05 p.m. and I have another couple of things to do before we actually get into business, starting with a recognition that we want to make of the League of Women Voters. And Ms. Alexander, are you here on that topic?
I am here on that topic, and I'm here actually with a few fellow League members. For those of you who might not know, the year 2020 marks the 100th anniversary of the ratification of the 19th Amendment on women's suffrage. It also marks the 100th anniversary of the League of Women Voters. We have a short video that we'd like to play for you, so here goes.
Please.
It's 1920. After 72 years of struggle to gain the right to vote, American women are about to achieve their goal, and the National League of Women Voters is founded. An Oregonian, Effie Simmons, is on the first National League Board of Directors. In the fall, the Oregon League begins forming local league groups around the state. So from its start, the league operates on 3 levels: national, state, and local. Early members studied issues. Today, we still conduct in-depth studies, informing ourselves and the public. From our start, we advocated for better government policies. We still work to improve government. We are nonpartisan grassroots activists. Our history is filled with examples of our positive impact. From the 1920s on, we have been helping voters. We have worked to expand rights for women and children. During World War II, we planted Victory Gardens. Then, we actively supported the creation of the United Nations and served as official consultants. In the 50s, we defended American rights. Later, we supported regional planning. We improved presidential debates and included men as members. For decades, we've had a major role in fighting for a healthy environment. As leaders for voters' rights, we've achieved many successes. We are a key trusted source of reliable, nonpartisan voter information, reaching out in new ways to more voters. Today, more than ever, the League is resolute in defending the rights of all people to a livable future.
So my favorite part of the League is what I get from the studies and being around inspired people and the thinking.
The power that the League of Women Voters has to move from identifying the root causes of an issue to then being able to research and identify opportunities for education and then moving that forward to real change through advocacy in our local communities.
Our democracy is really important, and if we value that, we need to have people that are engaged.
The League's involved in so many things. It's really exciting.
Affordable housing and homelessness.
Clean energy, funding for education.
LNG, liquefied gas plant. Women's reproductive health rights. the hard rock mining study.
And we're working on cybersecurity and privacy.
Anything that you care about, whether it's social issues, economic issues, the environment can be or should be impacted by public policy.
You find your niche and you take on more responsibilities and you just watch people grow as they do that.
With the misinformation that has been just really a proponent of like social media and stuff, this is a really good area to find information that you can believe in.
You can find information just about anything that you want to find out about in a non-biased,
nonpartisan way.
And I think that makes the League an honest broker in a lot of settings.
One of the great things I think the League does is sort of decouple the political conversation from the issues of civic engagement.
What is the world going to look like in 50, 100 years? And how can what we do now as both individuals and a community, what can we do to affect that?
You can go a lot farther and do a lot more if you're with other people who are excited and energized about the same thing.
As a new citizen in this country, it's very important how we can participate and make our voice heard. So that's why my interest in joining the League.
If it felt like you could go someplace and have a say, and somebody would actually listen to what you had to say.
I've gained so much more knowledge. I feel more confident.
We need to integrate people from other communities.
However you're going to come here, we're welcome. You're welcome, and we want your presence.
Do the work that you're most excited about.
The League is really one of our strongest hopes. That's why I'm a member. That's why I give so much of my time. And I think it's well spent.
Thank you so much for listening to this, and I also want to thank you for helping the League of Women Voters commemorate our 100 years of service. Thank you.
Well, thank you, and very interesting. I do have a proclamation here to make.
A big part of our organizational focus is helping kids.
There we go. It really is a momentous anniversary, I think. So I would like to make this proclamation of League of Women Voters Month. Whereas the League of Women Voters of Clackamas County has, since its beginnings in the 1940s, made significant contributions to good local government through its nonpartisan community services activities and voter information programs. And whereas the year 2020 marks the 100th anniversary of the League in our nation and in the state of Oregon. And whereas the City Council of the City of Wilsonville appreciates and commends the League membership for outstanding public service in our community and urges broad public support of the League of Women Voters and its program objectives. Now, therefore, I, Tim Knapp, as Mayor of the City of Wilsonville, do proclaim March 2020 as League of Women Voters Month and call upon the people of Wilsonville to recognize and participate in this special observance. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. So we have one other item under Mayor's business here. Council, we have a proposed appointment to fill a vacancy on our tourism committee. And I think that you may have some information in front of you. I don't know if my pronunciations will be correct, but Mr. Rohit Sharma is the operator of R&R Hotels in Portland, also lives in Wilsonville, and is, my understanding, the lead person with regard to the Hilton Hotel project.
Is he here tonight?
I don't think so. Is he here tonight? I don't think he's here tonight. No. And has talked with the city and Mr. Otnett especially, who is the liaison to that group, and would be with pleasure that I recommend to you the appointment of Rohit Sharma to a position. And I think you might have wording of a motion there, if it please the council.
Your Honor, I move to ratify the reappointment. Is that right?
I don't know if that's
just the appointment. To ratify the appointment of Rohit Sharma to the Tourism Promotion Committee, position 1, for a term beginning 3/2/20, ending 6/30/22.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any question or discussion? My only comment is that I think it's great to have people from the lodging and tourism industry in our local area interested in being involved in our tourism committee. The work that they do is significant within our community, and we look forward to his participation. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, passes 5-0. Thank you very much. That brings us to communications, where I don't have anything formally, but I would like to ask the pack leader of our Boy Scouts to come forward and introduce himself and tell us a little bit about your group, if we could ask you to do that.
Okay. So, I'm Miko Wazar. I'm the senior patrol leader of Troop 528, which is in Wilsonville. There are 14 of us here today, I think, and we're just here to watch, I think.
Are you working on a merit badge?
Oh yeah, citizenship in the community.
Citizenship in the community. All right. You think you can do that?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. That sounds good. Thank you so much. We also have an opportunity for citizens to address the council on anything that is not on the agenda or on the agenda but not scheduled for public hearing. Is there any member of the public that would like to speak at this point? I don't have any speaker cards, so if not, I will move along then here and ask the council for any comments that each of you would have to make, starting with Council President Ackervall.
Thank you. Earlier today, I met with a group at the library, the strategic planning group that's looking at kind of strategic plans for the library for the next 5 years, and wanted to call to everyone's attention a survey that's online and available to people as part of this planning process and looking at the strategy of the library. They're looking for a lot of input, and that input will come through several different forms, through small groups and getting feedback and meeting with some key stakeholders, but also through this online survey, and really hoping that the response that the city is able to gather through that online survey will show the interests and the thoughts and perspectives of all different facets of our community. So I want to make sure that everybody's got that URL for the survey so that participation is good and strong. And it is on the Let's Talk Wilsonville website, which I hope many of you are already familiar with. But if you go to www.letstalkwilsonville.com/library_survey is the URL for the survey directly. And I believe there's a link on our website as well to that, so or the library website. So look for that. And then also I wanted to mention that this last Monday I met with a few representatives from the school district, the school board, and continued the discussion. I know I've spoken to council about this before, of looking at ways we can continue the work in diversity, equity, inclusion in our communities. And one of the pieces of feedback that this group has received is opportunities for education for adult members of the community as well. And so there will be a few community events coming up that I will share when there's more specifics on that, but a couple of community events coming up this next spring that I'll be drawing your attention to. I believe one of them is looking at April 9th, I believe is the tentative date for that. So just a few weeks away, and I'll be sure to bring information on that as we have it available. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilor Lehan.
Really? I don't have anything in particular, but I feel like we should, someone should mention about the coronavirus preparations that the city is making, and perhaps just a brief statement. We were all briefed, and Clackamas County has declared an emergency, and we were briefed earlier in work session, so we're not oblivious to this, but perhaps you could
just
mention.
real briefly, I will tell you, we're putting out information across all of our platforms, so there'll be information on our Facebook, Let's Talk Wilsonville, and on our website. There's a bunch of information on there right now about where people can go for information. We recommend that you stick with trusted sources like CDC and the Oregon Health Authority. We are updating all of our continuity of operations plans for all of our different programs and services we deliver. We're going above and beyond in terms of cleaning surfaces in the senior center and other areas where public gather. So what I would say is if you're not feeling well, don't go to any public gatherings, and just be extra cautious about engaging in the public until we know more about what's going on with this virus. Wash your hands often. Yeah.
So that's all. I just didn't want people to think we hadn't noticed it.
Yeah.
Yes, we're watching carefully and are hopeful that it won't become more serious than it is. Councilor West.
This week I had the pleasure and the fun opportunity to chair almost the last Parks Bond Task Force. So I think we're going to do one more, right? I'm getting a nod from the back. And the discussion was fantastic and a lot of progress was done, and it's a lot of fun. Great group of people, really diverse range of needs and ideas within the city, and everybody is doing a great job collaborating and being very creative, and it's actually been a lot of fun. So I look forward to when that gets presented to the council and we get to talk about that here in the near future. Just last thing on the coronavirus, it is evidence-based, and one of the first things I learned in nursing school, like day one in lab, what did they teach us? How to wash our hands. Yeah. And then they put this powder on you to see how good you've done it, and then your hands glow in the dark after you've washed your hands, and you're like, oh my gosh, I still got all this stuff on my hands. So it is the number one, it's one of the best public health measures, period, and it totally applies in this case, is to wash your hands. Kids, Boy Scouts, when you wash your hands, sing happy birthday twice at a normal speed with a lathering all over your hands, and then your hands are clean. So make sure you wash your hands. That's the best way not to spread this virus, and most viruses in general. So that's my nursing public announcement for the evening.
Then I won't give mine.
Thank you. Councilor Linville.
Well, I also don't have very much. I wanted to welcome the Boy Scouts for joining us. It's always good to see all of you out here, and just think, one of these days, you're going to be sitting, some of you are going to be sitting up here in this, in our seats maybe, so, or maybe the mayor of Wilsonville one day. So welcome. I attended the, as a number of our other counselors did, the Rotary Heart of Gold event, and wanted to send our congratulations to Jake and Diane McMichael, who were selected as the first citizens for 2020. And well-deserved. I also attended on the 28th at the Civic Affairs Committee for the Charbonneau Country Club, and the purpose of my attending on that at that meeting was to discuss what our discussion was over the term limits item, and to reinforce that we chose our decision not to submit a competing item for the ballot. I will attend the Country Club Board meeting just strictly to be available if they have any questions of me as a counselor. And that is all of, I have a fairly light schedule between now and our next council meeting, so.
Well, we'll have to see if we can find something for you to do.
There you go.
Thank you, Councilor, very much. Okay, our agenda is fairly light tonight. We have a significant number of things on our consent agenda. Now, consent agenda is not debated or discussed unless a councilor asks it to be removed from consent. So may I ask the city attorney to read the consent agenda, please?
Yes, it's quite a long one tonight, but not nearly as difficult as what the mayor had to do earlier, so. Resolution number 2793, a resolution granting an exemption from property taxes under ORS 307.540 to ORS 307.548 for Autumn Park Apartments, low-income apartment development owned and operated by Northwest Housing Alternatives, Inc. Resolution number 2794, a resolution granting an exemption from property taxes under ORS 307.540 to ORS 307.548 for Charleston Apartments, a low-income apartment development owned and operated by Northwest Housing Alternatives, Inc. Resolution number 2795, a resolution granting an exemption from property taxes under ORS 307.540 to ORS 307.548 for Creekside Woods LP, a low-income apartment development owned and operated by Northwest Housing Alternatives, Inc. Resolution number 2796, a resolution granting an exemption from property taxes under ORS 307.540 to ORS 307.548 for Rain Garden Limited Partnership, a low-income apartment development owned and operated by Caritas Community Housing Corporation. Resolution number 2797, a resolution granting an exemption from property taxes under ORS 307.540 to ORS 307.548 for Wiedemann Park, a low-income apartment development owned and operated by Accessible Living Inc.
Thank you.
Your Honor, I move to approve the consent agenda as read.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda as read, consisting of 5 separate resolutions. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Passes 5-0. Thank you very much. Now, we have not scheduled any new business for tonight, so we are fairly light in the formal business at this point, but we did some other things, I guess. So there's no new business, no continuing business, no scheduled public hearings. Mr. Cosgrove, any city manager's business?
Just briefly, first of all, great job on the speech tonight. Condensing 10 years of information in under 45 minutes could not have been easy, and I know that you and Mr. Otten have worked really hard on that, so it was very well done. We have a joint work session with the school district coming up in April. It's a second meeting in April. I'm working on an agenda. If there are any issues that you would like to send my way, that you would like me to include in my conversation with my counterpart, Dr. Ludwig, either email or text me or call me and let me know. Okay. I'd be happy to share with you the preliminary list that I have tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you. Any legal business tonight?
Just briefly, also, I wanted to say that was a great speech. I loved listening to it. And something you might be able to add for next year is Kinder Morgan is just putting the finishing touches on their automatic shutoff valve, which is a great disaster preparedness extra step that's been taken, and they've gone kind of above and beyond. They've made a nice enclosure, like an actual building around it. They're just finishing it up this week, I think. So good job getting them to take that step.
Sounds good. You, of course, and several of us have been working for, what's been a couple of years now on negotiations with Kinder Morgan to do some safety improvements on the pipeline that runs underneath the city, and it's nice to see that actually being carried out here finally. So.
Yes, and it's going to look much lovelier over by the school with the amenities they put around it. So.
Okay, sounds good. Anything further?
That's all I have.
That's it. There being nothing else, please, the council, that you want to bring forward, I'm going to declare us adjourned at 8:29. Thank you. Good.
Thank you.